The more I think about it, I think this might be one of the best action sequences in not only the 1980s, but in all of film. And I'm not just talking about the truck chase scene in Raiders, which is unbelievable. It's phenomenal. But all the way back at the fight at the plane, where it goes through that fight to the truck chase to the end in Cairo, I think this is magical. Raiders of the Lost Ark is a classic, we know, but this sequence is unassailable. It is relentless, and it's something that I think is quite special. So let's go back and unpack just why I think this sequence is special, but why I think you should think it's special too. So the difficulty throughout the sequence, it just goes up. Like for Indiana Jones, the difficulty. You get to the plane, and to give the context, Indiana Jones has just basically been buried alive, and he and Marion Ravenwood, they escape. They see that they're getting a plane prepped. The Nazis are getting a plane prepped to take the Ark away, and Indiana Jones is going to stop it. And it's interesting because Indiana, he takes out the first guy. Then he faces someone that he can't defeat so easily. Then Marion comes through, but she gets stuck. And the difficulty, it just keeps getting turned up. And it is wonderful, like, fight choreography. It makes you laugh when Indiana Jones stares at the ground. It tricks the big dumb Nazi. But there's also moments where it's not just Indiana. Like, Marion is amazing. She saves Indiana Jones by knocking the guy out, but then she gets a control of the gun and takes out the soldiers who, if they weren't checked by her, they would have like killed Indiana and Marion. And so she takes them out, but again, it just keeps ramping up. That starts the fire. And it just sets up, there's something special about the sequence where it sets up this just wonderful desperation. You see it on their faces, and I think it kind of culminates in this moment where Indiana Jones realizes that the gas is going to be set off into an explosion when the fire comes to meet it. And it will most likely, in Indiana's mind, blow up Marion, the plane, and probably him. And he has this moment where he just kind of digs deep and he just lets his fist go on the hulking Nazi, and there's this desperation in it. But as an audience, you're just so let down because the Nazi absorbs the blows and he puts Indiana down. And sometimes you just need luck, and Indy gets it. The editing in the sequence is done in a way where you don't notice it, but you never second guess where people are and what the threats are coming from, where the threats are coming from. It's simply superb. Like, the spatial editing is just delightful. But then you get the explosion of the plane. Indy and Marion run away. They escape, and you get to this cut where Sallah finds Indiana, and he's like, the truck, it's being, the Ark is being loaded on a truck for Cairo, and Indiana has the truck, what truck? And it cuts right to the truck getting loaded up, and the Ark is being put on it. And there's something where Indiana, as a kid, but as just a moviegoer and someone that loves adventure storytelling, this is why this is a classic. It's just movie making magic, where Indiana says,
"Get back to Cairo. Get us some transport to England. Boat, plane, anything. Meet me at Omar's. Be ready for me. I'm going after that truck."
How?
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
But then you smash cut to the horse, and you have this Indiana Jones on a white horse. You go to a wide shot of Indy riding out of the encampment. It's stellar. And you have John Williams' score that makes you want to leap to your feet to cheer on Indiana Jones. And then you have the freaking crowd doing what you want to do because they're standing on their feet. It's magical. And you go right from that moment right into the truck chase sequence. And it's not only something that you delight in as a fan, but for those of you watching this video, if you were a kid and you saw this movie, it it goes to a whole other level. It captures the imagination of children in such a unique way. It thrills adults, obviously, but if you saw Raiders of the Lost Ark as a kid, this movie has a high probability of having a special place in your heart. And it's not just the fight at the plane, it's this transition moment, kind of this hero moment. And you have the John Williams score driving the action forward as Indy pursues the truck, and you go into this chase scene, and it might be it's hyperbole. It's probably the best. And you just can't say enough about it. The tension is obviously heightened as Indiana takes on the whole caravan. What I love is the little touches of this. The gunfire scaring the soldiers in the back of the truck, Indiana jumping into the cab and taking control. And then you have that moment where they share the smile, and then Indiana Jones decks the driver and takes control of the truck. I think there really are many kids that grew up just wishing they could do the things that Indiana does in this sequence. The truck sequence has wonderful stages to it, like the scene before at the plane. So you have Indy taking control of the truck. You have him dealing with the other vehicles, running the motorcycle into the puddle, and then, of course, dealing with the Jeep that has the gun mounted on it. Of course, second time, he sends him off the cliff. Then you have, like, the stage where he deals with the guys that are hanging on to the sides of the truck. It has this, like, video game feel, and I actually mean that with the highest praise. There is, like, wave after wave of enemies being thrown at Indiana Jones, and the thrill of the scene or the sequence is how he deals with each challenge. It's a puzzle that he figures out. And I think perhaps one of the most crucial elements to the whole sequence on the truck is that Indiana Jones can be hurt. You have that one moment where he's shot and he's beaten badly, and he's thrown out of the truck. And you have this vulnerability to Indiana Jones, which I think as an audience we gravitate to. We want to root for him. We feel the danger. Maybe if you're younger or you're really caught up with it, you feel some fear and excitement, like how is this going to play out? But one of the things that makes it even more satisfying is that while he's vulnerable, he overcomes those challenges and defeats his adversaries. And this is where we began. He's hanging onto the front of the truck. How will Indiana Jones get out of it? Well, just like in the serials that George Lucas loved, he goes underneath the truck to get back into the fight. I distinctly remember I saw the film in 1981, and I have this memory, a very vivid memory. I was a little kid, but I have this memory of the theater just erupting in cheers when Indiana Jones takes the truck back over and goes after Belloc and company. It is the deep satisfaction of that scene, of that moment, which makes, us as the audience feel rewarded. And just like the citizens of Egypt, we cheer when Indy overcomes his Nazi adversaries. It's brilliant stuff, and it might just be one of the great action sequences ever in film.